Life Diaries. This is our journey. More Life Diaries podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the More Life Diaries podcast. This is episode 1, coming live to you from Toronto, Canada. And this is obviously episode number 1, so we're going to introduce ourselves a little bit and then the concept of More Life Diaries. Hopefully by now we would have put out a couple videos on YouTube, but essentially will be new to everyone. So we'll just cover everything in this podcast here and the inspiration and the vision for More Life Diaries as a whole. So we're parents from Toronto, and my name's Mark, by the way.
I'm Kat.
And we've just decided essentially a couple of months ago that we're going to live out our dreams to move abroad.
Mhm.
And for those that don't know already, we've decided on
Mexico.
So we're moving to Mexico, and this was something that came to us a few months ago, and we've just been working towards making that happen ever since then. And we'll cover that a little bit more in depth this episode. So just before we get going with this, what I'd like to talk about a little bit is why podcast, because obviously we're going to be doing the YouTube channel, so focusing a little bit more on the travel and lifestyle aspect of it. So it was important to us for a YouTube channel to cover a lot of visual things and informative information.
Mhm.
And then we're going to talk about, we're going to also have a blog component to it. Do you want to talk about that quickly?
So the blog component will go a little bit more in depth. For example, if a vlog is showing our trip to a certain city, the blog will have more information about itineraries, places to go with links, just more detail that you might not get from the visual aspect of the vlog.
Yeah, like a write up about what the vlog covers and then some, so that it's a little bit easier to follow if you were to pursue
Mhm.
similar trips or what have you.
And because we are parents, we'll also have a little bit more parenting information. We're also homeschooling, so we'll talk a lot about that on the blog as well.
Yeah, cool. And then as I mentioned, the YouTube channel will have more of the video, obviously the video components to it. So heavily weighted on that. And yeah, we've just decided to essentially start podcasts. And there's multiple reasons for that, but one of the biggest ones is that we were kind of doing talking head informative videos, just focus on YouTube at the beginning, and then we're like, why not just do a podcast that covers different topics, not necessarily parenting, but parenting being one of them, and mindset stuff.
Just more reflective discussion
Mhm.
about what we're going through, our experiences as we go, as we embark on this huge journey to Mexico. We're actually traveling there, so it'll be a lot to discuss. Restarting in a whole new country,
Mhm.
what that's like, and just our reflections and our experiences, and
Yeah, and sharing that just in an unedited type of way where we can just talk freely and not necessarily have to edit it too much. And obviously, we'll have the video component as well. So this will go up on YouTube and then iTunes, Apple Podcast, and Spotify as well. So
wherever you get your podcast.
wherever you get your podcasts, and that takes us to the motivation to start a podcast. And maybe you can touch on that a little bit, how much motivation and how much information and benefit that we've gotten from podcasts, especially in the last couple of years.
Mhm. So I think both of us have always been into podcasts for like the past 7 years or more, whenever like podcasts became a thing, and it just kept becoming more and more of a source of not just information but entertainment. I think we started to like
Mhm.
watch less Netflix, listen to more podcasts. And for, like Mark said, many reasons. I mean, there's comedy podcasts that we would just listen to for fun, but also, a lot of health podcasts, motivation, mindset, just to inspire us, to make us feel better, to make us, feel like we're not alone with certain
Mhm.
things that we were going through or experiencing. And honestly, I think we we start to share podcasts. I think before he was listening to much more, guys podcasts, and I would listen to, well, information podcasts that he thought were kind of lame before, but now he's into
Hater.
them. um, so yeah, like I think because we enjoy them so much and we found them so inspiring and informative, we decided that maybe we could start one as well and share our experience, because there's, every time we tell somebody what we're doing, they're not every time, but a lot of them react as like, wow, I wish I could do that, but I
Mhm.
can't because of whatever the reasons are. And I guess our motivation for this is, and our hope for this is that we can show people that, yeah, you can. Like there is a way, you have to figure it out. It's going to be different for all of us.
Mhm.
But if you want to make something happen, it's just about taking those first steps to try and make it happen.
For sure. The journey is different for everyone,
Mhm.
but um
And
the
the journeys and the obstacles are different for everyone.
yeah.
Like there are always obstacles, but it's about how you approach them.
Yeah, and exactly, the journey's different for everyone and the obstacles, but the steps that you take towards actually pursuing the journey or pursuing whatever it is that you want to do in life are often similar because
Mhm.
most of them start from a mindset standpoint, right?
Right.
It's working on yourself and working on your mind for you to be able to have the confidence and have the drive and have the organizations to do whatever it is you want to do. Ours is travel and moving abroad, but it could be as simple as signing up to the gym and start living a healthier life for yourself. So
Mhm.
that will be the focus of the podcast. I don't think either of us want to be motivational speakers per
No,
se,
not
but
at all.
it's just sharing our journey and sharing topics that we would just discuss off air. And then, we thought to ourselves, like maybe someone out there could potentially benefit from it.
Mhm.
So that is the main focus of the podcast, and obviously, we'll have some fun with it as well. So it'll be cool. Hopefully, you guys tune in for that, and if you do, just subscribe to it, like, comment, whatever it is to help us keep going.
Mhm.
And yeah, I want to take the time as well to introduce the concept of more life diaries. So we've touched on it a little bit, which is our journey per se. But even further than that, we want to talk about even further than just moving abroad and doing those things. Obviously, parenting, lifestyle stuff, um, health, fitness,
Mhm.
whatever it is that we decide to embark on. And realistically, it's how we live our lives now. But we'll
Mhm.
just be sharing um, as we go our motivation and our mindset and the stuff we want to do, the stuff we're envisioning, and we want to throw things out there just to help us motivate ourselves to actually pursue them and keep
Mhm.
going and doing those things.
Mhm.
Um,
It's holding us accountable.
Holding us accountable, exactly, and there's a lot that we want to do. This is really um, the first step in the rest of our lives, and we want to be able to showcase, like we said, the steps that we're taking, but also our journey, because I think we were in a darker place, perhaps like a couple of years ago and leading up to, even 2022.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden things just clicked. And do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So, the decision to move to Mexico, basically, I think we both kind of came to this choice earlier this year in 2022. It was not, I would say, it was not an hard decision to make. I feel like it was almost a decision that made itself. Basically, what was going on in our lives, in our country at that time, made it a very easy decision for us.
Yeah, for a lot of people, it'd be like, I know even the people that we tell, they're like, "Oh my god, like this is a big move." And for us, we're like, obviously there's risks involved, but it was something that was very calculated that before we even told anyone that we deeply researched on. But what at the inception of the thought of
Mhm,
moving our family to Mexico, it was like at first we wanted to move. That's the first thing that we
mhm.
thought of.
I
Like
think we just looked at each other one day and we had enough, and we were like, "Where are we going to live?"
exactly.
And
And
then so
then
we just started that research, and basically Mexico checked off all our boxes.
exactly. And yeah, so that was the first thought is we wanted to move. So it wasn't even like second guessing or
Mhm,
questioning it. And throughout, as the months approach closer to today, essentially like our our drive and our pull towards moving became stronger and
mhm.
stronger.
Yeah, there was just, as soon as we were like, "Yep, Mexico," I don't think there was any doubt on either of our ends, like, about what we were gonna do.
Mhm,
It was more just like, "Okay, like, what is the next step that we have to do to make this happen?"
mhm.
And then so we would look that up and we would, do it, get it done, like, call whoever we had to call, apply for what we had to apply for. And yeah, so that led us to today. Um,
So talk about that a little bit. Tell the viewers what we've done up until now from the inception of the thought of moving to Mexico.
after the decision to go, we obviously wanted to look into our pathways of entering the country as, legal and clean as possible. For people listening who've been to Mexico, you might be familiar with their traveler visa, which is basically up to 6 months that you can be in the country. A lot of people will kind of abuse that or skirt around it by like leaving right before the 6 months ends and then re-entering the country to get another 6 months. That's one way to do it. For us with two young children, it wasn't very optimal because that would basically entail packing everyone up in the car or flying somewhere with two kids, and that will get tiring pretty quickly. So
Mhm.
we wanted to do something that would give us a little bit more time and status in the country. So we got a temporary visa, basically. So looking into that, what we needed to prove in order to apply for that and get that approved. Um, Passports, all the boring paperwork stuff that will probably go into in depth in the blog, but not so much here.
Mhm.
Um, Putting our house up for sale, decluttering, selling. It sounds so easy, but you never realize how much stuff you have in your house until you actually have to get rid of it. Um,
Yeah, like
Basically condensing all of our belongings into something that we can fit into our SUV.
yeah, like we've been throughout the month. So pretty much uh, the decision we took to on deciding to move to Mexico started when like March.
Yeah, February,
And we've
March.
literally been like every month decluttering and decluttering. It's been a constant process, and we still have more to declutter. So
Almost there.
it's important to take note of that whenever you even if you're not planning on going anywhere per se, but just always taking a look at the things you have and seeing if they're a necessity in your life or if you could live without, because we accumulate so much stuff and it's pretty much across the board like everyone does. You have that
Mhm.
little drawer somewhere where you just it's a catch-all
Exactly.
or that little closet. So decluttering is really what's been the most time consuming and
Yeah, and
the
it's
most effort's been put towards
you
just
don't
that.
realize how much stuff you have an emotional attachment to until you're like, "I'm getting rid of this," and, like, forever it's
Yeah.
gone, and yeah, it's hard. It can be a little you might need to give yourself some time to do that, more time than you think for sure.
Yeah, and then
Mhm,
literally having, to sell the car because we had a small Civic, so we had to upgrade to something a little bit bigger, to putting our house up for sale, to, decluttering just for that so that it's picture perfect essentially. So it's been quite a
mhm,
process
mhm.
and it's gone by way too fast
Yeah.
since we're pretty much almost in October.
Yeah. And
And
we're like T minus 2 weeks till
yes,
departure date, hopefully.
so we've decided last week that to give ourselves a hard date. Originally, our hard date was September 1st, and yeah, that didn't happen. We're, house is still for sale. Things aren't going the way that we had originally planned, which is fine.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of being able to pivot from that and to set a new date and have new goals and work towards those goals, right? So our new date is set for October 15th. And then, yeah, right now, as of today, we're just starting to pack and those types of things
Yeah.
because now we really, really need to declutter to the point where we're just keeping the things that we're going to bring and then
Mhm.
everything else needs to go. Right.
Mhm.
So, how do you feel about that? Is it a couple of weeks you get
It's
everything done?
yeah, it's a weird feeling. I think even the last couple of months have just been like living in limbo. Like we know we're going, we can't commit to anything here. But we don't know exactly. We couldn't commit before to, book things. I mean, at least that we have now that we can start booking, hotels and stuff along the way. But yeah, it feels like there's not enough time, but also at the same time, I cannot wait for it to go by just so that we can be on with it, like so we can be on the next part of this whole process.
It's
Um,
felt like it was at our fingertips and pretty much throughout the whole summer and for the last, 4-ish months. It's like it's right there at our fingertips. But
mhm.
uncontrollable things are happening and we just can't get there.
Yeah, it's like can't
So
grasp it.
now it's like in grasping
Mm.
distance. So it feels a little bit more real. And we're actually able to prepare a little bit more and mentally prepare and physically prepare
And the other
for the
side of
move.
that is I think both of us are very detached to here at this point. Like we're not into it anymore. We're not into work. We're not into, we can't, like I said, we can't really make plans with people because we're like, I don't know if that's going to be realistic for us to
Mhm.
commit to. I think we're just, our physical bodies are here in Toronto, but our minds are on the road and we're just waiting for, everything to be done with so that we can go. So
Yeah.
it's like,
And to that point,
mm,
we love our life here and we love their life here. And another motivation for us to actually move was that we we had accomplished everything that we had set out for ourselves. So our goals were to do X, Y, Z, buy a house, have the kids. We did all of that. And then, throughout the last couple of years, we really thought, well, what more? Like what's next for us? And I think we both agreed that what's next is not just staying here and working 9 to 5 jobs and
and
doing the
waiting until
corporate
we
life.
retire,
And
basically.
yeah, like waiting until we retire
Mhm.
to whatever, celebrate or to travel even,
Yeah.
because the price of uh the price of life, I guess, in Toronto, the cost of living rather, that's the word I'm looking
I
for,
mean, I
is
think price of life is
price of
it
life
hits a
and
little bit harder when you say
yeah,
it like
price
that.
of life and cost of living in Toronto is
Mhm.
just too expensive in every sense of the word.
I
And
mean, we do pretty well, and I think we can afford one family vacation per year.
at most,
And like
and
that's not, super fancy. It's kind of middle of the road, which I'm not complaining. That's still great. But
mhm.
like,
But
is
when your
that
love and your passion is traveling and learning new cultures and learning new languages and exploring um, new cuisines or whatever, it's like that's what we want to ingrain in our children.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, staying here and working here and doing what we're doing now is not what we want to teach our children.
Right?
We want to teach them that the world is open and the possibilities are infinite, and whatever they want to do when they grow up they can also go out and do, but by restricting ourselves as parents, in our opinion, is not the lesson to be taught.
Mhm. We want to be the role models we want for them. We want to show them what's possible, and we want to show them
Mhm.
how they can achieve that, what steps to take, and not to be scared to do it, not to be scared to take those risks. And I think we kind of have to go circle back a little bit here because we jumped into this, how passionate we are about traveling. And also, we're moving to Mexico and how it wasn't a big, hard decision for us. I think we have to explain that, yeah, like we've traveled extensively prior to having children. We lived overseas before. We lived in Chile, so another Spanish speaking country, for a year together. And I lived in the Republic of Georgia for 6 months. So I think it was a passion that we had before. We've done it before. We know, I mean, obviously Mexico is a new country for us, but
Hmm.
we kind of know what to expect in terms of culture shock and, the typical sort of cycle that you go through when you enter a new country, and then the reality sets in, and also just, street smarts and how to figure things out. We've kind of been through that. So it's not as scary the third time around or the second time around, because you kind of know what to expect.
It's certainly more exciting than scary.
Mhm.
And the way we feel about Toronto is that we've lived this life already. We've lived in Toronto. We achieved the goals we had set out for us. Like, we've done this. So what next? We're not the type
Mhm.
of people to want to live a stagnant, comfortable life. Comfort is important, but we find comfort in learning and
Yeah.
learning new experiences and doing those types of things. That's
Mhm.
where we're most comfortable. We're not comfortable just working that 9 to 5, coming home, watching Netflix, cooking dinner, raising the kids. All of this is part of our daily routine, but we like to have that constant kind of, small challenges and small calculated risks.
Mhm. And
Um,
learning, just basically
learning
continuously
could,
learning,
yeah.
and, yeah, experiencing new things, new environments. And
So to circle back, when someone asks, was it a hard decision or aren't you guys nervous and this and that? I'm like,
no.
hell no.
It's what we do.
Looking forward to it. Like, as much as people look
Yeah.
forward to, your 2 week winter vacation in Cuba, it's like we have that times 1,000 level of enthusiasm. And
Yeah, like we can feel it in like every, cell in our body. We're like,
yeah.
it's like pulling us there. So I think, yeah, we're really excited. Of course, there's nerves for certain things. Like, you worry as parents, you always have some sort of in the back of your mind, some worry. But for the most part, those are just moments of like self doubt. The most part is just like, let's go. And we feel this is right. And yeah,
Yeah.
there's
So
no,
so talk on that a little bit. What are you most concerned about with us, you know, from the day we leave, essentially?
the day we leave, honestly, they're not real serious, overwhelming concerns. I am always a little nervous at borders. I don't know why. So, I mean, the borders have been weird. They've been shut down. They've been, I don't know, like we just hear crazy stories. So there's a little bit of nerves crossing on both borders. And, we're obviously coming in with a lot, not a lot, but we have like a Thule box and all of this stuff. And,
Mhm.
are we going to get searched? Are they going to take things apart? That's just more stressful for me. Like thinking about that, not scared. Um, that's the biggest one right now, and I think the
Mhm.
other one is just, like, I know it's inevitable, but we're going to Mexico, and eventually food catches up with you.
Yeah, so
And all
I'm most excited about food and most concerned about food because whatever,
Yeah,
like
it's gonna
the
happen, like, you just hope that it doesn't happen to us or the kids in a place where you can't handle it.
yeah,
One of them's in diapers, so we're not too worried about him,
mhm,
but yeah, it
yeah.
is what it is.
So yeah, most concerning for me, as Kathleen mentioned, would be to, for crossing into Mexico for them to do like an in-depth kind of search. Not that we're bringing anything illegal in, but we will have everything packed, like nicely packed, air
Mhm,
sealed bags, everything, and then yeah, just the amount of time we're putting into actually organizing our stuff and packing. I don't want to have to like unpack then pack again. Might sound silly in terms of moving forever, and then
mhm.
that's like your main concern, but that is the main concern you know, at the beginning of the trip per se.
Mhm,
And then obviously some bumps will happen in the road along the line, but I think we're very good at, stepping out of ourselves emotionally or
mhm.
whatever may happen and thinking rationally about
Yeah.
stuff and being able to pivot to for whatever the situation
At
is.
least
So
one of us is at every time. One of us might lose it, and one
brings
of us
us
might
back
bring the other
down,
one
right?
back.
So yeah, realistically, I don't see any more concerns than that per se. Obviously, leaving family
Yeah.
is a little bit difficult, especially because we have a 1 year old and a 5 year old, so they see their grandparents on a weekly basis.
Mhm.
So obviously, a lot of emotion there, but besides leaving actual people, and we don't really find attachment to things per se.
Yeah.
So I think like the way we felt, about our home, which we loved, and you know, ha-
Lots of good memories
lots of
here
good memories. Our second born was born here,
upstairs.
yeah, upstairs in the bedroom. So there is attachment there, but we're
Mhm.
not as attached to the home as we are to pursuing our dreams.
Right.
So that's definitely important to note. So that's maybe a little takeaway that, for everyone is to like try to detach yourself from physical things because realistically, on your deathbed, you won't remember the physical things that you've had your whole life. You'll remember the memories that you've gained throughout your life.
Deep.
Deep. Got y'all. So yeah, what are the next steps you think for us in the next week or so?
Our next steps is just prepping this house to basically say our final goodbyes and
Yeah.
packing up our car and hitting the road. I think also with we have a loose itinerary planned.
Yeah,
Um,
tighten that up a little bit.
yeah, we need
Yeah.
to like tighten it up. Yep, definitely a little bit more, and also just kind of plan when we arrive to Mexico where we're going to be staying. Certain legal things with the visas that we have to book before we can as soon as possible, basically. And I think it's just that, which is pretty simple. One
Mhm.
good thing that we found throughout this experience is there's Facebook groups dedicated to people who drive to Mexico. And we found one. We found several from Toronto, so there's a few paths, and they even include like hotel stays and what they recommend, like the routes you should take. So we're basically gonna, do our own version of one of those.
Yeah.
Um, considering our timelines and how long we want to be driving per day.
So yeah, on that, we'll keep you guys updated every week. We're gonna do a podcast. Obviously, the first few will be very informative in terms of like what we're doing and how we're doing things, and then eventually we'll get more in in depth and in deeper topics that we want to discuss. It'll change week per week, but we'll keep you guys updated on a weekly basis. And yeah, just look out for those vlogs and those blogs that we'll be putting together that will be a lot more visual and that will really have the visuals to our stories to accompany this podcast and
Mhm.
our stories. So yeah, follow our journey. It's going to be a hell of a journey. So hopefully it's as interesting for you guys as it will be exciting for us.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot for listening, everyone. And
Bye.
this is more Live Diaries.
Ciao.
Peace.